What's happening, everybody? Happy Thursday. Welcome to the start of Week 11. We've got Jets-Patriots tonight, taking you up until that game, talking shop, whatever's on the table. We'll start to take a look at the practice reports, injury updates, all that good stuff. At least as far as the most up-to-date stuff. I'll give some general thoughts on Thursday Night Football, and then, of course, can take your questions. Potentially, at least on paper, lopsided matchup tonight. 8-2 New England, 2-7 New York. The last time I saw, the Patriots are somewhere in the 12.5 to 13-point favorite range. Vegas likes them to win by around, 2 touchdowns, multiple scores. No surprise. These are two teams that are heading in opposite directions this season. Patriots leading the AFC East. The Jets will officially be challenging probably for the number 1 overall pick in the draft, although they didn't do themselves any favors in that quest, winning last week. Doesn't really change anything, though. Let's just get that out of the way. We'll talk Thursday first. Your must-starts are pretty much on the Patriots side. Drake May, if you have him at this point, you know what you do. You fire him up. You don't think twice. Obvious slam dunk in Superflex leagues. And honestly, at this point, I think he's an obvious slam dunk in one quarterback formats as well. Understandable if you have the likes of Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. If you if you drafted Drake May late after getting a stud early in your draft, that may make it a little bit more challenging. But honestly, at this point in this matchup, May is as good an option as any. You're playing him. You are also playing running back Travion Henderson. Ramondre Stevenson returned to practice for the Patriots earlier this week in a limited fashion, both on Monday and Tuesday, but yesterday was still ultimately ruled out for this game, as is Kayshon Boutte. I will get into that in a second. Basically, Travion Henderson is a set-and-forget guy with RB1 upside tonight. I think Terrell Jennings is also on the injury report. We will get confirmed injuries here probably in the next 20, maybe 23 minutes or so. They typically come 90 minutes before kickoff, so actually maybe it's a little bit closer to 6:45 East when we get those, because I think the official kickoff is like 8:15 or something like that. So we'll see if Jennings is in. I do think the Patriots elevated. Who did they elevate today? Was it D'Ernest Johnson from their practice squad? All this to say, Travion Henderson has RB1 upside tonight. You are starting him. You are starting him by any means necessary. Get him into your lineup if he's not already in there. That's about it for the guys where it's like get them into your lineup no matter what. Breece Hall probably is in that conversation as well. He had a good game last week against a tough Browns defense. This is not a great spot on the road on a short week against a good defense. However, Breece Hall should be in your lineup in all likelihood. If they get behind, he will catch the ball. If they miraculously have a lead at any point, they will run the ball with him. They need to use Hall in all facets, ways that they can. Garrett Wilson was placed on injured reserve earlier today, so he will officially miss at least the next 4 games for the Jets starting tonight. Breece Hall probably needs to handle 30 opportunities for them to have any type of chance of keeping this close. But nevertheless, it is a bad matchup. Stephon Diggs can absolutely be fired up as a wide receiver too. His usage, his involvement has increased, compared to the beginning of the season. Now in the middle of the season, trending toward the back half, the start of the second half. He's full go, basically, stemming from the ACL injury that he suffered last year. Got off to a bit of a slow start. Not a huge surprise there. Now a full-time player and making the most of it, attached to, at this point, May is one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. So Stephon Diggs is in great shape. I would say the same thing about Kayshon Boutte, but unfortunately he will miss this game. So that increases the opportunities for the other ancillary Patriots wide receivers. So Matt Collins and rookie Kyle Williams, who, even though he was, he only saw like 50% of the snaps, he still exploded for an incredible game. Hollins has been has been running ahead of him. So if you were to start an ancillary wide receiver, I probably would go Hollins. But Kyle Williams obviously flashed plenty of upside last week. This is, a tough spot to be in, just because he's going to have to come through early in the event that if the line goes the way that we expect, if this game goes the way Vegas expected to go, then they could be running the ball, the Patriots, a lot in the second half, and that'll eliminate opportunities for the ancillary weapons, not just Kyle Williams and Matt Collins, but Hunter Henry as well. So they're a little volatile, but again, they are attached to a great quarterback in May. So at the end of the day, you could do worse. As for the Jets, I mentioned Breece Hall. I think that's the only guy you're playing. You're not even in Superflex formats, I really hope you don't start Justin Fields. He's tough to trust with Garrett Wilson. Now without Garrett Wilson, I think his passing yardage line in this game is like 129 yards. It's like, honestly, I don't even know how he hits that number. Outside of the fact that they are huge underdogs and should be throwing in this game, but that doesn't give me any more confidence that Fields puts up big numbers. Mason Taylor, I guess, will lead the Jets in targets. I feel like you can do better. Truly, I feel like you can do better. I'd rather not play a single Jet tonight outside of Breece Hall. And you can start the Patriots defense with all the confidence in the world. All the confidence in the world. For that very reason. Okay, that gives you my general thoughts on tonight's game. Play Drake May, play Travion Henderson, play Breece Hall, play Stephon Diggs. That's about it. That's all I got. As for the latest injury updates that we've gotten good news from Tampa Bay compared to 48 hours ago. Bucky Irving and Chris Godwin have both been participating in practice for the past couple of days in limited fashion. This does not guarantee that they are returning this weekend, but it is a good sign for that their absence should not be too much longer, especially considering Irving having been a second-round pick in redraft leagues this summer. This summer. His return to the lineup would be a welcome sight, but we're not out of the woods just yet. It has been an incredibly lengthy absence for both, so I'm not necessarily holding my breath that they're both available on Sunday. However, the fact that they have returned to practice this week is a good sign. The Bucs have been pretty annoying with their injury reporting. They called Bucky Irving day to day, and then he went on to miss like 6 or 7 games. And then they said he has no timetable to return, and then 24 hours later he was practicing. So they have not been forthcoming with their injury updates. Disappointing, frustrating, but the reality is Bucky has returned to practice. If he's back, you probably need to make plans to put him in your lineup, even with the extended absence. Parker Washington practiced on Thursday after missing practice on Wednesday. Lamar Jackson practiced on Thursday after missing practice on Wednesday. Tough matchup against the Browns, but it's Lamar Jackson. You are probably playing him. C.J. Stroud ruled out for Week 11. It'll be Davis Mills for a second straight week. Houston has... Who do they have this week? Is it the Titans? Yeah, Tennessee on the road. Mills could be fine as a streaming option, I suppose. Dalton Kincaid not practicing for the second straight day on Thursday. No surprise there. He suffered a hamstring injury that forced him out of last week's game, and he was not able to return. So he's looking likely to miss a week. I'm not necessarily putting Dawson Knox on the streaming radar, although... It's not like the Bills' wide receivers have been consistently awesome. Shakir has been solid. That's about it. So I guess Knox has a chance to come through in a big matchup against Tampa Bay. But I don't know that I would necessarily bet on it. Speaking of Shakir, he was limited for the second straight day on Thursday, so he is on track to play with the back-to-back limited practices. Good sign for Shakir. Darius Slayton not practicing for the second straight day on Thursday. It will be Jameis Winston for the New York Giants over Russell Wilson in their game this weekend against the Green Bay Packers. So I guess Wan'Dale Robinson is going to handle as many opportunities as he can get if Slayton is unable to go. Theo Johnson is a viable stream just because of the volume with which we expect Jameis to chuck it. And don't be afraid to, if you picked up the Packers defense, don't be afraid to still fire them up. We all know how Jameis plays and operates. He slings it around with little regard for the potential for turnovers. It makes for fun football. Sam Laporta, this one's one to monitor. Sam Laporta not practicing for the second straight day this week with a back injury. The Lions in a massive game on Sunday Night Football against the Philadelphia Eagles. If they don't have Laporta, that would hurt. Consolidate targets for Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamison Williams. And I guess Jahmyr Gibbs maybe picks up a couple more opportunities as well. You're starting all of those guys regardless. But Laporta would obviously be a guy that start at tight end. This would be an unfortunate development if he's unable to go. So we'll keep an eye on that one. Matthew Golden is practicing, but Isaiah Pacheco is not for the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City came out of the bye week saying that Pacheco may need more time to heal, so Kareem Hunt probably resumes and retains RB1 duties while Pacheco remains sidelined. Brutal matchup, though, against Denver this week. Can't really advise firing up Kareem Hunt or Brashard Smith while I'm at it. Let's see. The Ravens are missing some ancillary pieces. On offense, potentially this week, Rashad Bateman, Justice Hill not practicing for the second straight day this week, so could be another consolidated target share for Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews, although it is a tough matchup on paper against Cleveland. Calvin Ridley returned to practice this week. He is not fantasy relevant. J.K. Dobbins not practicing. It will be R.J. Harvey for the Denver Broncos this week. No, Dobbins has not officially been ruled out, but he was deemed an IR candidate. I talked about this multiple times on Tuesday's stream. The Broncos beat reported that Dobbins was a candidate to go on injured reserve. While it hasn't happened yet, I can't imagine you are a candidate for IR and then play the same week, and he's not practicing on top of that. So I'm going to go ahead and say Dobbins is not going to play in Week 11 for Denver against Kansas City. It'll be R.J. Harvey's opportunity to see what he can do in a larger, potentially bell cow role for a Broncos offense that is looking for a spark. They have struggled over the past couple of weeks. Brock Purdy for the 49ers will get the start for Week 11. I think Purdy's been out since like Week 3 or Week 4. I think he returned maybe in like Week 6 and then re-aggravated the turf toe, and he's been out of the lineup since. It's been a lost season for Purdy. It's been a lost season for a lot of 49ers not named Christian McCaffrey. But getting Purdy back presumably raises the floor of the offense. Hard to advocate starting Purdy given the circumstances and after such a lengthy absence outside of Superflex formats. Oronde Gadsden for the LA Chargers, fully practicing on Thursday. That was the vibe that he would not miss a game following he was forced to exit the Chargers game against the Steelers, was labeled day-to-day. Didn't sound like it was a serious injury as far as long-term. That appears to be accurate. Gadsden fully practicing. He is on track to play for the LA Chargers against the Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville. You can continue to fire him up as a mid-range tight end one. And just got a couple of updates. Speaking of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Brian Thomas limited in practice on Thursday, so he is tracking to making his return after a one-game absence from an ankle injury. Honestly, if you still have Brian Thomas on your bench and you don't really feel like putting him back into your starting lineup until you see something more, I can hardly blame you. But obviously, depending on your other options, feel free to let me know if you have Brian Thomas and are considering him for your starting lineup. We can talk shop there. And Brenton Strange limited in practice on Thursday. I think his 21-day practice window was opened. I do not know if that means he will suit up for Jacksonville this weekend, but limited in practice, good sign for his return. If it's not this week, then soon enough. Jacksonville needs all the help they can get. They lost Travis Hunter to season-ending LCL surgery earlier this week. And this just came through. I guess Kyle Shanahan is talking to the media right now. 49ers wide receiver Ricky Pearsall on top of Brock Purdy returning Week 11. Ricky Pearsall will also play in Week 11. He has been out, I think, since Week 4. It has been like 6 or 7 weeks since we have seen Ricky Pearsall. Not really sure why they didn't just put him on injured reserve and designate him to a return. But nevertheless, Pearsall tracking to make his return for San Francisco this week. Who do they have? The Arizona Cardinals? Yeah, on the road in Arizona. Volatile play Pearsall would be this week after such an extended absence. I would probably advise against him. That being said, when we last saw him, he was looking good on the field. He played 4 games this year. He had 100-yard receiving games in 2 of them. So, moving forward, I think we can feel okay about him, but might be tough to trust in this initial first game back. And I'm sure we will get more updates from some of the West Coast teams as their practice reports wrap up as we move through the rest of this evening. Okay, that is all of the injury updates that I have. I will keep an eye on things in case we get any more updates. Now it is time for your questions. If you have been here before, welcome back. If you are here for the first time, welcome in. Special shout out to anybody who is joining me on Twitch. I have started streaming over there again for the first time in a while, so appreciate everybody coming in and hanging out. Good to see you all. Here's how it works. Members get first priority, first responses to their questions. It does not matter when a member sends a question. They will get their questions answered and comments responded to in priority order. That is a perk of being a member of the channel. You can find more details about becoming a member of the channel in the first link in the description of this live stream and all videos and streams on the channel. You could also send a super if you are feeling generous enough. You don't have to, but if you are feeling generous enough, that would also be a way to skip the line and get your question answered out of turn. If you do not send a super and you are not a member, I will answer your question, but I do ask for some patience. You may have to wait a bit as I work through members and supers first. Whether or not you are a member of the channel, if you are enjoying the stream and the conversation, if you could just like the stream, that helps me out for algorithm purposes. Appreciate that in advance. Gonna shout out my members now. I see Bobby. I see Sport Dog. I see Batty. What's going on, Batty? Let's see. Who else do I see? I see Kevin. And I see on E111 just popped in. Appreciate all you guys coming in and hanging out. Let's get after it. You need some quarterback clarity, Bobby. You have Love and Burrow. So you picked up Burrow this week with the intention of having him for your postseason run. Would I drop Burrow, Emmanuel Wilson, or Christian Watson to pick up Jacoby Brissett or Marcus Mariota to replace Love this week? Brissett is in a really good matchup against the 49ers. That is pretty favorable. I don't think I would drop Watson. He may operate as the team's wide receiver one. Romeo Doubs, I think, is going to play, but he may be less than 100% after picking up that chest injury last week. I mean, honestly, you could just drop. This might be dicey. But, Bobby, you could probably just drop Jordan Love. If you grabbed Burrow and he's going to be back in a couple of weeks, I feel better about Burrow, a healthy Burrow, of course, obviously, than I do Jordan Love, who has suffered like a slew of injuries to his weapons, most notably Tucker Kraft, who's done for the season. I mean, you could stream your way to Burrow's return, and I would say that starts this weekend with Jacoby Brissett, who's in a good match. Who turned into a pumpkin against Seattle, but this is a better matchup against San Francisco. He's at home, and the 49ers are they're out for the rest of the year without Nick Bosa and Fred Warner, who are their stalwarts, their mainstays on that defense. You could probably just in one quarterback leagues, I don't feel like Jordan Love is necessarily a hold. The Packers' offense is struggling, and like I just mentioned, they've suffered a lot of injuries. And since you picked up Burrow, you can kind of piecemeal your way through your quarterback situation until Burrow comes back in a couple of weeks. I think week 14 is when he's expected to return. I would probably drop Love. Pick up Jacoby Brissett. And then next week, you could pick up, somebody else to drop Jacoby. I forget who Arizona plays week 12, but we're just worried about week 11 for right now. I would probably do that. Is Jerry Jeudy worth picking up? I know he caught a touchdown last week against the Jets, but I'm still going to say no. Dylan Gabriel doesn't look very good. I don't know how much better Shedeur Sanders will be if and when he gets his opportunity. Joe Flacco's not walking through the door. They traded him to Cincinnati. No, I'm not worried about Jerry Jeudy. I'd rather stash running back handcuffs. I'd rather stash intriguing young players with upside and better offenses, like a Christian Watson. Now, I'm not worried about Jerry Jeudy and picking him up. As far as rest of the season for defenses, I'm not viewing defenses like rest of the way at this point. I'm viewing them on a week-by-week basis, and especially, respectfully, Bobby, if you were 8-2, I may have a different answer for you for this because you could be gearing up and locking in your plans for the playoffs. You're 5-5, and you probably need to win a couple more games to clinch a playoff spot. We're not worried about stashing defenses for the rest of the season. We're worried about winning a game this week. So, based on that, I guess I'll tell you to play the Texans this week if they are available because they're playing Tennessee, and Tennessee has an abysmal offense. Maybe they're a little bit better coming out of the bye week, but, not a whole heck of a lot to get excited about with Tennessee's offense these days until they show some marked improvement, and they haven't thus far. I would play Houston, and we'll worry about your Week 12 defense in Week 12. Yeah. And happy to rehash anything if anybody needs it. Sport Dog, you're using London and J-Mo at wide receiver, McCaffrey and Jalen Warren. You've Pickens, Vidal, Marks, Shakir, Shaheed. Those first two names, probably. It's not a great matchup for Vidal against Jacksonville, but he is going to operate as the bell cow for one more week. Actually, Marks is in a pretty good spot, too. He's against Tennessee. That's a much better matchup, actually, now that I think about it. Pickens is a slam dunk. You have to play Pickens. It's a great matchup against the Raiders, and Pickens has been awesome this year. I guess it comes down to between Marks and Vidal for me. Vidal is in the better offense. Marks has the better matchup. I might play Marks. I may actually play Marks over Vidal. And again, I know he's been the bell cow for the Chargers in the absence of Amari and Hampton, and he's been good most, not every, but most weeks that he's had this opportunity. But Marks is in such a good matchup against Tennessee. And I don't know if you saw the quote from D'Amico Ryans today. I don't know if it was today or yesterday. I don't know if anybody caught it, but D'Amico basically said, like, we're ripping the rookie tag off of the first-year players. Like, they're not rookies anymore. It's go time. And he said that about Woody Marks. He said it about Jaden Higgins. He said it about Jalen Knoll. I think he said it about one of their tackles as well. So that is, like, the biggest vote of confidence I have seen, given the circumstances, from, like, coach to rookie player, maybe this season. He was basically like, we're stripping the rookie tag off of these guys. They're not rookies anymore. I feel like that's a vote of confidence for Woody Marks, and in a great matchup against Tennessee, that's where I would probably go. I think I would go Pickens, and I would go Marks. Batty, start Fannin or Hunter Henry, and Wandale or Troy Franklin. I mean, Wandale probably is the play in full PPR, especially with no Darius Slayton. I like Troy Franklin. He makes plays, but Denver's offense is struggling right now. And not that the Giants might be world beaters with Jameis Winston at quarterback, but he's gonna gunsling it like with no fear. Jameis Winston is the I've never known or watched a quarterback that has cared less about the potential of throwing 4 or 5 interceptions in a game. Jameis Winston does not care. He goes out there and he uncorks it. And it's a thing of beauty to watch for fantasy purposes. I think I would go Wandale, especially in full PPR. As for Fannin versus Hunter Henry, Fannin gets Baltimore at home. Henry gets the Jets tonight. That's kind of like Fannin. Henry is kind of up and down. Maybe he catches a touchdown tonight, but his usage may be low. If the Patriots can get up big on the Jets, which again is Vegas is almost expecting that to happen based on the spread, based on the line. Henry may not have a ton of opportunities in the second half of this game, whereas I would expect Baltimore to be playing with a lead and therefore Cleveland to be throwing the ball throughout the game. I guess I'll give the slight nod to Fannin. Over Hunter Henry. And then as for, again, I'm working through member questions right now. They get first priority. That is a perk of being a member of the channel. I see everybody's questions. I will get to them. If you want to play May tonight versus playing Lamar Jackson against Cleveland on the road, that's fine. I can hardly blame you. I mean, you're kind of spelling it out for yourself. So, like, if you're, at the end of the day, go with your gut, and that's for anybody. If you are like, hey, I kind of like this situation more than this situation, then trust your gut, trust your instincts. You can play. This is a scenario. This is a week where you can play Drake May over Lamar Jackson if you feel like that's the best move. It is a much better matchup on paper, and if that makes you feel better, then go with it. And on top of that, Drake May is, I just said it not too long ago when doing a quick rundown of this game, Drake May is playing as well as anybody at quarterback right now in the NFL. If you want to play Drake May, play Drake May. Even over a guy like Lamar Jackson, who is excellent, who is incredible. Lamar is a baller. He is awesome. He is a stud. It is a tough matchup on the road against Cleveland this week, and he may be without Rashad Bateman and Justice Hill. Not key pieces of the offense, but certainly key contributors. And, May is going to be without Butte, but he still has Diggs. He still has Henderson. Still has Hunter Henry. Still has Matt Collins. Still has Kyle Williams. He should be fine in this matchup against the Jets, who traded all of their defensive talent away at the trade deadline. So, yeah, if you want to go May, go May. I have no problem with that. Moving on down to more member questions, and then I will get to everybody. Appreciate everybody's patience. Also, anybody in the chat, feel free to help each other out if you feel so inclined. We're here to help each other out, as long as we're not in the same league together, or more specifically in the same matchup together, which I don't think we are. Dynasty trade. give Neighbors and receive Brian Thomas and a late first? No. Keep Neighbors. Keep Neighbors. I don't care what, in the context of this trade, I don't care what your situation is. I don't care if you're a contender this year. I don't care if losing Neighbors and maybe you had other injuries and maybe your team's out of it for 2025 and you've got your sights set on 2026. Keep Neighbors. He is better than Brian Thomas. He is better than anybody who's going to be selected at the back half of the first round in 2026. He is still, even with the ACL, a top 5 dynasty wide receiver, and we didn't even get to see him this year with Jackson Dart. Neighbors got hurt before Dart entered the starting lineup. Maybe if there was overlap, there was very, very minimal overlap. So we didn't even get to see those two link up at all. So it's possible that what we've seen from Neighbors, we could see even more with slightly better quarterback play. Actually, a lot better quarterback play than what he's received so far in his career. More efficient quarterback play, that's for sure, that Dart brings to the table. No, I would keep Neighbors. Brian Thomas has been disappointing, and a late first doesn't move the needle for me when we're talking about a top 5 dynasty wide receiver. Keep Malik Neighbors. Keep Malik Neighbors. Dude is a stud. E111, flex Montgomery, Diggs, JMO, or Charbonnet. Montgomery has the Eagles on Sunday night. That's a tough matchup. Diggs goes tonight in a favorable matchup against the Jets. Jameson Williams, tough matchup against the Eagles, but could see increased opportunities if Sam Laporta is out. Charbonnet is in a big matchup against the Rams. I don't know that I necessarily trust him on the road. LA's got a really good defense. They've got a good pass rush. They're just good all around. Seattle's good as well. But on the road, I don't feel as confidently as I maybe would at home. I might go Diggs here, to be honest. Montgomery's a little tough to trust in the matchup against Philly. JMO is boom bust. I would say if you need to be aggressive and shoot for the moon, E111, if you're a big time underdog, or if you feel like you're in a matchup where like you need to swing for the fences, that's JMO. But if you want to play it safe, take the high floor play, because I think that's what Diggs is. He's a high floor play. Then I would probably lean Diggs. Not really concerned about the matchup. If we were to pick an anytime touchdown scorer for the Patriots, it would probably be Henderson and then Diggs as the team's wide receiver 1. So I'll say Diggs is your high floor play, and probably the safe play I would go with. JMO is the more aggressive play, higher ceiling but lower floor. What's going on, Jay? Good to see you. Replaced your kicker with a flex spot. I love that. I hope every league does that moving forward. If you're the commissioner of your league, listen up. And if you're not, take some notes to share with your commissioner. I would love to get rid of kickers in starting lineups across fantasy football formats everywhere and replace it with a flex spot. You know why? Because it's more fun. Who are the positions that we research and analyze and crunch the numbers on all summer long to figure out who we want to draft? I'll give you a hint. It's not the freaking kicker position. It's the running backs. It's the wide receivers. It's the tight ends. I want to play more positions that I actually pour my energy and my time into. It's more fun that way. I'll get off my soapbox. I could go on this forever, and I know we only have a limited amount of time before kickoff, so I will stop there. But I do like that move. You have Jordan Love. You have Daniel Jones. Keep Daniel Jones. That's great. Jacobs, Kyron Jones, Kamara, Walker, Vidal, solid. Chase, Dobbs, Tez Johnson. Chase is awesome. Kind of soft after that at wide receiver. And then Otten and Pitts. Okay, fine. And I like the Packers and Rams combo at defense. I'm fine with that. I would probably, honestly, not this week, obviously, because Daniel Jones is on bye, but I would look to maybe replace Jordan Love. Packers offense has struggled recently, and they've suffered a slew of injuries on offense, Tucker Kraft being the most notable. And now their starting center, Jenkins, is on IR for at least 4 games. So that could be a huge hit to their offensive line. Love has struggled. No Kraft. Still no Jaden Reed. Matthew Golden is banged up. Yes, Christian Watson came back. Okay, fine. Christian Watson is good. He's a big-time playmaker. Romeo Doubs is a solid receiver, but he picked up a chest injury this past week, so he may be less than 100% right now. And again, the offense is struggling in general. I think Love is honestly a drop depending on who the other options are on the waiver wire. And you could survive with Daniel Jones based on his playoff schedule. You just obviously need to get past his bye week this week. And then I honestly may try to look. You're not going to make a significant move, but maybe trade one of those running backs for a wide receiver, unless you only start one wide receiver, and then it could just be chased from here on out. But, Aaron Jones, Walker, even Vidal, who is awesome right now, but Amarian Hampton's probably coming back in a couple of weeks. I would look to maybe flip one of those guys just for another wide receiver too, just to kind of balance out your team a little bit, give it a little bit more diversity, because you have solid depth. Don't trade Jacobs, don't trade Kyron, unless you're getting a stud wide receiver. I would maybe look to make a smaller move, like flip Kamara, flip Walker, flip Vidal, flip Aaron Jones for like a wide receiver too, just to give yourself some more balance. But otherwise, I'm fine with the squad. Otherwise, I think I'm fine with it. And honestly, you could stream compared to playing Jordan Love. You could stream quarterback. The Packers have some work to do on offense. Okay, I think I got all of the member questions. If any members missed my answer or feel like they didn't hear it or didn't get a full response, let me know, and I will follow back up. But I think I got all the member questions. Let's get after it from the top. Kyron, Chase Brown, Henderson. Get Henderson in there. One running back, two flex. I would get Henderson in there tonight. Rachaad White is less of a sure thing with Bucky Irving's return to practice, but we're not going to know if Bucky Irving's playing this week until after Henderson goes tonight. So get Henderson in there. I would by any means necessary, get Henderson in your lineup. He is a strong RB1 play, I think, this week. Like somewhere in the mid range. I would probably rank him as like the RB7 or RB8 this week. Maybe higher, to be honest. Get Henderson in there. The Bengals get the Steelers. There's nothing scary about that matchup. I would probably play Chase Brown. I like Adunze, but he has been somewhat quiet recently. He had a decent game last week, but he's been a little up and down. And then Kyron in a huge matchup against Seattle. That's a tough matchup by the numbers, but that might be where I go if Bucky Irving is back, because that's going to make Rachaad White probably insignificant. Definitely Henderson, definitely Chase Brown. I may go Kyron for the volume, but if you want to mix it up and diversify yourself a little bit, especially in full PPR, then Adunze is fine. Henderson and Chase Brown for sure, though. Get those guys both into your lineups. Is Michael Wilson a start this week? Over guys like Shaheed, Charbonnet, and Algier. He might be. I would probably play him over Shaheed until we see him do something in Seattle. I would probably play him over Charbonnet. The question is Algier in a great matchup against the Carolina Panthers at home. I think if it's full PPR, Michael Wilson is fine. But his floor may be low. Remember, Michael Wilson is at best typically on a week-to-week basis his team's number 3 or number 4 option, who is now thrust into a greater opportunity out of necessity and not necessarily because he earned it. And I'm not trying to poo-poo Michael Wilson. That's just the reality of the situation. Algier is a regular constant in his offense, and at home, if you think the Falcons bounce back at home in a revenge game against Carolina, then Algier's going to be getting the football more likely than Bijan Robinson owners would like to see. Algier is a mainstay of what the Falcons want to do on offense. Raheem Morris called him a superstar earlier this week. You could debate that all you want about how accurate that is. But the fact remains, the Falcons love Algier, and they love getting him involved, especially when they have a lead. In half PPR or standard scoring, I might play Algier. Full PPR, Michael Wilson is fine. Expanded opportunity is interesting. Just keep in mind he's getting this opportunity because of an injury and not necessarily because of heightened performance. Henderson or Jaylen Warren? I mean, I would love to play both, but if you can only play one, I mean, I guess I'm swinging for the fences of Henderson just because it's a better offense. Jaylen Warren is playing Cincinnati, so, I want to get him in my lineup, too. I want to play both of these guys. My answer to this question is to tell your commissioner to expand your lineups and make them bigger so you can play all the guys that you draft and or pick up or trade for. But that's an off-season issue, not a right now issue. I guess Henderson, and the only difference for me is I guess the Patriots offense is one I feel more confident in on a play-by-play basis than the Steelers offense, even though they're playing Cincinnati, who is a train wreck on defense. I want to play both. The answer is both, but I guess I'll say Henderson. And then Pearsall, Sutton, or Parker Washington. Pearsall making his return. Sutton has been pretty disappointing recently. Parker Washington is interesting, but he's been on the injury report this week with a hamstring injury. Not sure how serious it is. He didn't practice. He didn't practice on Wednesday. He did return to practice on today, Thursday. I am gonna say we need to feel out the vibes of Ricky Pearsall tomorrow. If he gets in a full practice on Friday, I might tell you Pearsall. He's a little tough to trust just coming off of the extended absence. I may tell you to play Sutton for one more week, even though he hasn't been good and it's not a great matchup. But Parker Washington's not in a great matchup himself. He's also on the injury report. Sutton's the healthy one here, basically. I guess Pearsall technically is now too, but he's missed almost 2 months. I'll say Sutton, unless we get some new vibes, new reports from Pearsall between now and kickoff that he's looking good, feeling good, 100%. If we get some positive reports or positive vibes from Pearsall, I may flip my answer. For now, I'll say Sutton. I encourage you to come back on Saturday if you can. For anybody who wasn't aware, I will also be streaming on Saturday, 5 p.m. Eastern, strictly start, sit, help for anybody looking to finalize their lineups for Week 11. So you may have questions like these where it's like, I might need to get a little bit more information before I make a definitive call. Happy Thursday to you as well. Start one in full PPR. Monangai, Washington, Keon Coleman, Christian Watson, or Slayton. Not Slayton. He's not practicing right now. Back-to-back missed practices, so he's looking like he's going to miss this week. Monangai didn't deliver in the box score, but he is still regularly getting opportunities. So he remains interesting, even though the matchup is not the best. Parker Washington, again, he returned to practice today. It's not a great matchup, but he could be all right. He is regularly involved, that's for sure. I don't know that I want to chase the Keon Coleman play from last week. He did well, but he's been quiet otherwise this year. It's between Washington and Watson for me. I will say play Washington as your high floor play. Watson as your aggressive ceiling play with a lower floor. He's boom bust. He can make big plays, but his floor is lower as a result. If you need to be aggressive, play Watson. If you think you can play it safe in your matchup, play Parker Washington. Would I do Pickens for Warren straight up? I need more context. Like, what is your whole situation? How bad are you? What are you? Would I do Pickens for Warren? So, like, which one are you getting? Which one are you giving away? If you're trading one, does that mean that group, that position group, is strong for you, and you're addressing a position of weakness? Give me some more context to work with before I dig any further on that one. Because I like Jaylen Warren's run for the next 4 or 5 weeks. His playoff schedule isn't great, but if you're trying to scrape by, he'll at least help you get there. Pickens has been awesome. Is in a great offense. He's been feasting even with CD's return to the lineup. So I need a little bit more context there. And I don't see any other new member questions yet. I'm keeping an eye out, but I don't see any new ones yet. The Packers or the Patriots? Honestly, like, either, man. The Patriots are a great option tonight. The only difference is, I guess I would expect the Giants with Jameis to maybe score. They'll have more scoring opportunities than the Jets tonight. So if you get penalized pretty good for points scored against, then maybe just go New England tonight. I do like the Packers. They are a top 5 play because of Jameis Winston. They may give up some scores, but if I would bank on any defense to get a pick 6 this weekend, it would be Green Bay. I'm not guaranteeing that it's going to happen, but if I had to bet money on it, that would be the defense I would bet my money on. So the Patriots should be fine. That's probably where I would go. Either one is in a really good matchup, to be completely honest. Both are good. I would probably lean New England, especially if you get dinged for points against, which is most leagues. That's most scoring situations. Is Brock Purdy worth a pickup? You would have to, if your other quarterback is Bo Nix, then yes, Brock Purdy is worth a pickup. I don't know that we can necessarily trust Brock Purdy right away. I don't know that he's going to be good. He's got turf. He's dealing with turf toe. That is an injury that lingers, and it is incredibly painful. Maybe he's over it. I don't know. Hopefully he's had enough time off, but he tried to come back earlier this year, and it backfired. He suffered a setback, and he missed more time. Yes, he's worth a pickup if your only other quarterback is Bo Nix, but I'm not necessarily expecting the world from Brock Purdy, especially in his first game back. It's been a lost season, an injury-riddled season for Purdy thus far this year. So, I'd almost rather play Jacoby Brissett this weekend if he's available. And if you have Bijan Robinson, then you're not dropping Algier. And I'd rather not drop Spears. I think he has a chance to be the Titans RB1 from here on out. Tony Pollard is lackluster, and Spears gives them some juice. When he's able to stay healthy, of course, which has been an issue for him. But, sure, if you're loaded at running back, then sure, you could drop Algier, I guess. If you're loaded at running back. Start Quentin Johnston versus Jacksonville or Diggs tonight against the Jets. Man. I do like Diggs tonight. I think he's in a really good spot. It's also a really good matchup for Quentin Johnston. I will say Diggs is your high floor play. It's dependent on your situation. If you feel like it's an even matchup or you're a favorite, you feel good about your top to bottom, your chances against your opponent, then I might play Diggs. If you feel like you need some upside, you need to swing for the fences a little bit and deal with a potentially low floor to shoot for a higher ceiling, then that would be Quentin Johnston. It depends on what you need. I think Diggs gives you a high floor. I think Johnston you run the risk of a low floor with Quentin Johnston, but you could be rewarded with a higher ceiling. I'll say it depends on what you need, what you think you need based on your matchup. Wiped your feet on the way in. That's very courteous of you. I hope everybody wipes their feet when they walk into somebody's house. That's very respectful. Worthy or Franklin? So Worthy was actually a late add. I forgot to bring him up. He was actually a late add to the injury report today. I think he practiced in a limited fashion today. I don't think he missed practice outright, but I'm pretty sure Worthy was not on the injury report earlier, like yesterday. But he was added to the injury report today, I think, as a limited participant. So I think just based on that, plus the fact that Worthy's usage has kind of fallen off since Rashee Rice returned, and Franklin has kind of taken over as, I don't know if he's the Broncos wide receiver one, but over the past few weeks, he's operated like it. I'll say Franklin over Worthy. And then I'll play Caleb over Bo Nix. Caleb is playing better than Bo Nix right now. You know, for all the scrutiny around Caleb, some of which is very much deserved, if there's one guy he's definitively playing better football than right now, and there's more than one, but if there's definitely one, he's playing better than Bo Nix. That's for sure. It's a revenge game for Chicago against the Vikings. It is a massive matchup for the Broncos against the Chiefs, but it's not a good matchup on paper and by the numbers. And then again, Nix has not been good recently. Caleb. I would play Caleb. And really quickly, let me grab I will get back to you with your other questions, but E111 asked a question, so I got to jump down and take care of my members. Again, that is a perk of being a member of the channel. Walker or Charbonnet, so you got to choose between which kind of meh Seahawks running back you have to play. And Helani got in there for opportunities last week as well, so it's anybody's guess if this could possibly be a three-headed monster that is developing, that is forming. I don't know if it's too early to call that, but it certainly feels like it could be. That could be the situation. It's not a good matchup. I'll take the guy who gets the goal line work. I'll take Charbonnet. I don't have a ton of confidence in either one of these guys, but I'll take the one who seemingly seems to get the goal line work, and that's Sharbs. Sharbs gets the goal line work over Walker. Walker might get some receiving opportunities in this game, but neither one have really been involved as a receiver this year. I'll say Charbonnet. He gets the goal line work. And then start one between Hubbard, DeMercado, Tucker, Rodriguez, Gainwell. Probably. Well, Tucker's in a good matchup against the Cowboys. We don't know what the Cowboys' defense is going to look like. Overshown is back for them, and they made the trade for Quinn and Williams. That'll help their front, which should subsequently help their pass defense, but I don't know if it'll happen right away. And then DeMercado is in a pretty good matchup against the 49ers, and there's still no Trey Benson. That's probably where I would go. Especially in standard scoring, I'll take the running back. I'll go DeMercado. I think he's kind of in this hodgepodge situation that they find themselves in right now without Trey Benson. You know, they tried Bam Knight. They tried Michael Carter. I think they've kind of settled on DeMercado as their guy. Bam Knight will probably mix in, but he can't be a primary running back. He's a hybrid guy, change of pace, special teams dude. DeMercado, I think, is going to handle the 1A opportunities, and in a good matchup, I think that's where I would go, especially in standard scoring. E111. I'll go DeMercado. I don't trust Rodriguez with Mariota. I don't trust Gainwell Gainwell, he's in a great matchup, but like he's not the starter, so I'll take the starter in DeMercado. Okay, back up to where I left off. Allen or Trey Tucker? I assume that's going to be Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen has kind of fallen off a cliff recently, although it is a very good matchup for him. Trey Tucker, I guess, has a chance to be his team's wide receiver one, again, in a good matchup against the Cowboys' suspect pass defense. Again, their defense should be getting a boost with DeMarvion Overshown returning and the trade for Quinnen Williams, but that didn't directly address their secondary. I'll take Trey Tucker here. It's a bit of a moonshot, but I'll take Trey Tucker. I'll take Trey Tucker over Keenan Allen, who has been slumping recently. And then as far as May or Lamar, I may actually say Drake May tonight. I may say May. Lamar is a stud. He's a baller. He's awesome. I don't need to sell anybody on Lamar Jackson. We know what he can do. We know how good he is. But if we're splitting hairs and we're looking at every nitty-gritty detail that we can, Drake May is playing great football right now. Yes, it's a Thursday night game, which I hate, but at least he's at home, and the Jets' defense has been gutted at their own hand. They traded away their best players on defense at the deadline. Meanwhile, Lamar has to go to Cleveland, and Cleveland still has a very good defense, and it's a revenge game for Cleveland for whatever that's worth. Cleveland's not good. Baltimore is better, but it is a revenge game and a division game, so some narratives have to be thrown out the window as a result. I'll take Drake May. He's also in a division game, but the Jets gutted their defense, and May is playing great football. You can play either. I'll play May. But you could play either. You're playing against the May Henry stack. I mean, Drake May is a top 3 or 4 quarterback this week. You're just going to have to live with that performance. You're just hoping that Hunter Henry isn't the recipient of a touchdown. You're hoping that they run the ball a lot with Travion. You're hoping that May doesn't run the ball a lot, but you're going to just kind of have to live with the likelihood that May is going to put up a QB1 performance tonight. That's just ball. We got lots of games left to go on Sunday. Unless any one player on Thursday goes for a 30-burger or more, don't sweat what happens. There's lots of football still to be played after just one game tonight. Steelers, Browns, or Seahawks defense this week. The Seahawks have a great defense, but I don't want to play them on the road against the Rams. The Steelers, they've been struggling. They don't have a good pass defense, and they're playing Jamar Chase and T. Higgins this weekend. The Browns have the best defense of this group, but they're playing the Baltimore Ravens, so I don't really like that. I guess I would bank on, if these are your 3 best options, I guess I would bank on the Steelers maybe being able to get to Joe Flacco. It's also a revenge game for Pittsburgh against Cincinnati. Cincinnati beat Pittsburgh earlier this year in a Thursday night matchup. So if you like those narratives, if you want to lean into those narratives, I guess I would say Pittsburgh. I'm not expecting the world. Again, Pittsburgh has a shaky pass defense, but I'll take Flacco as the target quarterback to go after as opposed to Matthew Stafford and Lamar Jackson. Flacco is the most likely of those 3 to make more than one mistake on Sunday. Not a ton of confidence, but I'll take the Steelers of these options. If you could pick up the Cowboys, that would be the preference. I know I just got done talking about their leaky secondary, but they did shore up their front 7 with the trade for Quinnen Williams and the return of Overshown from the injury he suffered last year. The Raiders stink. Geno Smith is not good. They could have a chance at a solid night on Monday night if they're available. If not, then Pittsburgh is fine. Do I think Tyler Warren and Kittle have comparable value rest of season? I mean, yeah, they're top. They're both they're both top 5 tight ends for the rest of the season. I mean, it's McBride, it was Tucker Kraft, unfortunately. It's McBride, it's Warren, it's Kittle, and it's Bowers. And then the next tier is probably like Gadsden, Goddard, Dalton Kincaid if he's able to come back sooner than later. Laporta if he's okay. I know he's not practicing right now, but he's solid. I mean, it's McBride, Warren, Kittle, and Bowers. They're like the top 4. So yes, they are. I would say they're comparable just based on that. And do we think Bucky is back? Maybe. We got to see what Friday looks like. And I know it's not an apples-to-apples comparison, but Ramondre Stevenson for the Patriots, he missed the past 2 games. He returned to practice earlier this week in a limited fashion and then still got ruled out for this game on Thursday night. We're not out of the woods yet with Bucky. I wouldn't just set and forget him in my lineup just yet. We don't know if he's going to play. If he's ruled in, then you probably got to play him. But we don't know yet if he's going to play. We're not sure. And he could be on a pitch count if he does play. We need more information. Not that Tampa Bay has been very trustworthy with the information that they share about their players, but we need more information. Full PPR, DK Metcalf in a great matchup against Cincinnati or QJ. I mean, Metcalf is the clear-cut wide receiver 1 for the Steelers, and it's a beautiful matchup against Cincinnati. Johnston is obviously in the much better situation, attached to the much better offense, the much better quarterback. What's Metcalf been doing recently? I feel like the Steelers' offense has been blah. In his past 5 games, Metcalf has had 2 wide receiver 1 performances and 3 completely forgettable performances. Johnston, on the other hand, in his past 5 games, has been even more mid than that. Metcalf against Cincinnati. And yeah, I kind of answered this. Warren is tight end 3, Kittle's tight end 4. Next week, Kittle's tight end 3, Warren's tight end 4. Like they're both top 5 options rest of the way. Ferguson or Andrews. Ferguson is against the Raiders. Andrews is in a slightly tougher matchup against the Browns. Probably go Ferguson. Andrews has been, he's caught touchdowns in recent weeks, back-to-back weeks. But the usage has overall not been very high. And again, this is a tougher matchup on paper against Cleveland. I will say Ferguson. It's close, but I'll say Ferguson. Wandale or Tet McMillan? Probably Wandale, especially if it's full PPR. Jameis is going to start, not Russell Wilson, and Darius Slayton is trending in the wrong direction for this week. He has missed back-to-back practices this week due to a hamstring injury. Wandale. I mean, I like Tet. I don't like the Panthers' offense. I don't like Bryce Young, and I certainly don't trust the Panthers on the road. Bryce Young's track record on the road in his short NFL career is pretty bad. Is overall pretty bad. And Tet will see A.J. Terrell this week. I'll say Wandale. Especially if it's full PPR. especially if it's full PPR. Start the 49ers or the Falcons defense. I mean, the Falcons get the Panthers. I don't trust Bryce Young on the road. It's a home game for Atlanta. That's officially the only place I trust Atlanta is at home. Revenge game for Atlanta. Remember, they got smacked by Carolina earlier this year in Carolina, 30-0, I think the score was. So, for all the issues Atlanta has, this is a revenge game for them, a big division game for them. Their playoff chances are hanging by a thread. They need to win this game. I'll take Atlanta. San Fran is on the road in Arizona. It's not a bad spot to be on paper, but they're tough to trust. No Nick Bosa, no Fred Warner. They've lost all of their talent to injuries. I'll say Atlanta. I think they're a little healthier than the 49ers right now. Do you drop Dobbins? For who? Dobbins might be a candidate for injured reserve, but he hasn't been placed on injured reserve yet. So for all we know, he may only miss 1 week, and that report was smoke and mirrors. We've seen more egregious reporting in the past. Who are you dropping? Who are you dropping Dobbins for? Terrell Jennings is active for Thursday. And Justin Fields is expected to start on Thursday. I thought we already knew he was starting. The Jets. Okay, it doesn't matter. You're not playing Justin Fields. You're not playing Tyrod Taylor either. Who are you dropping Dobbins for? That's who I would like to know. Diggs or Chase Brown in full PPR. You're playing against May and Henderson tonight, if that changes anything. It doesn't. I would probably play Chase Brown regardless. I think Samaje Perine is still banged up, so Chase Brown should be getting bell cow opportunities. I don't know if Taj Brooks is necessarily ready yet to carve out a role. Chase Brown should be in that, 80-85% snap share range if Samaje Perine doesn't play. And Chase Brown was pretty good in the Bengals' first game against Pittsburgh earlier this year. I figured they'll go back to him as many times as he can handle as a bell cow. I do like Diggs tonight as a high floor wide receiver too, but I'll take Chase Brown and the volume that I expect him to get. With no Samaje Perine. Diggs is a good play, but I think you got to play Chase Brown. A lock for an anytime touchdown tonight. I mean, my default is it's gonna be Henderson. No Ramondre Stevenson. Yes, Jennings is active, but he was on the injury report. The Patriots are 12.5, 13-point favorites tonight. If you expect that script to play out as expected, that means they're going to be running the ball in the second half. Henderson flashed his big play ability last week in a much tougher matchup against Tampa Bay. I would say Henderson is your anytime touchdown scorer tonight. And then Charbonnet or Monangai. I may actually go Monangai. I think the matchup is a little bit better for him. Yes, it's a big matchup for the Seahawks against the Rams, but the Rams have a good defense, and the Seahawks do not run the ball that well with either guy. Charbonnet is the guy who gets the goal line opportunities, so that does make him a little bit more viable. Monangai, though, I know he didn't do a whole heck of a lot last week, but I don't think they're going to go away from him if he starts to put some plays together, which he has flashed plenty of talent, and I'm sure he can. I would probably go Monangai. I don't love either, but I'll probably go Monankai. I got to come down to E111. Sit 2, Thomas, Wandale, Shakir, Flowers, Sutton, Keenan Allen. I would sit Keenan Allen, and I would probably sit Sutton. Depends on how much you trust Brian Thomas. I would play Wandale. I would probably play Flowers. I would probably play Shakir against Tampa. Sit Keenan Allen, and then it comes down to either Brian Thomas or Cortland Sutton. Depends on how much you trust Brian Thomas in his return. Both have been disappointing in general. Brian Thomas has been disappointing for longer, so if you want to put him on ice post injury and see how he does, then I guess you could play Sutton. But I don't have a ton of confidence in him either. And I'm not playing those Seahawk running backs. I just don't trust them. Like, one of them might do well, but good luck. I guess it could be Charbonnet, but good luck guessing which one. They don't run the ball well, and it's a tough matchup. Full PPR. Who am I starting between Breece Hall, Otten, and Parker Washington? Breece. And I would probably... I just don't want to flex like a tight end if I already have a starting tight end. So I guess by default, I would say Parker Washington. You know, Otten's got an increased opportunity. I just don't... The randomness of tight ends makes me shy away from starting any more than one of them. So if you don't have to play a second tight end... or a tight end in general, outside of like the top studs, then I'm okay pivoting off of them for wide receivers. I'll take Parker Washington as your high floor, along with Breece Hall. And then Breece Hall or Harvey, probably... It's a bad matchup for Breece tonight. I may actually play Harvey with no J.K. Dobbins. It's not a great matchup for him against Kansas City, but no, and for all of Denver's issues on offense, they are a better offense than the Jets. So I guess I would say Harvey. I'll take the chance on Harvey. And the Patriots versus Packers, I'll be completely honest, it doesn't matter to me. I think you can play either one with confidence. The Patriots are probably the safe, chalky play tonight. The Packers may give up more points to the Giants because of Jameis, but they have a higher chance of making a bigger play, like, say, a pick six. So it kind of comes down to your risk tolerance and how aggressive you think you need to be. New England is fine. Green Bay is fine. I think they're both two top 5 defensive options this week, and I truly don't mind which one you play. I think they'll both be fine. I think they'll both be fine. Starting AD Mitchell tonight over Walker, Worthy, and Keenan. You're not making playoffs anyway, so are you just kind of like, you're just like throwing a guy out there just for the hell of it? I mean, this can be a bit of a slippery slope. If you, like... I guess if you're affecting the potential playoff race, maybe. But at the end of the day, it's your team. And if you're definitively out of it and you just want to like throw some dart throws into your lineup and just swing for the fences and say, screw it, I'm just gonna take a Hail Mary, then who cares what your league mates think? If you are like and look, there's reason it's I probably wouldn't do this, but it's not like the most outrageous thing. Walker hasn't been good. Worthy is hurt and hasn't been good since Rice returned to the lineup, and Keenan Allen has fallen off a cliff recently. So if you want to take a shot on A.D. Mitchell with no Garrett Wilson, fine. I mean, and if your league mates are going to complain about it, it's like, who cares? You're already out of the playoffs anyway, so you're just doing what you want to do. At least you're starting somebody who's playing. I mean, it's fine. That's okay. It's not like if you were benching him for more obvious starts, then I would say, yeah, you might, like, I might approach you about that if I were in the league and be like, what the hell, man, what are you doing? But it's not like these dudes are slam dunks right now for your starting lineup, so it's fine. I'm fine with it. I think it's okay. And then do I think he's going to do anything tonight? I don't know. The Jets' passing offense stinks. Justin Fields can't throw the ball. And we've seen flashes from A.D. Mitchell, but he hasn't fully put it together just yet. So, but sure, as like an extreme dart throw in a situation where you're kind of like, screw it, sure, fine. That's fine. I'm okay with that. I'm sorry that you're out of the playoffs. That is unfortunate. I'm sorry that you're out of the playoffs. But at this point, do what you want to do. You need to start 2 running backs and 1 flex. Henderson, yes. RJ Harvey, Vidal, Charbonnet, Christian Watson. Those first 3 running backs. I would play Henderson in no Ramondre Stevenson. He broke out last week. Beautiful matchup tonight. Harvey, tougher matchup, but no J.K. Dobbins, and we've seen him flash big talent and big plays. And Vidal, he's up and down, but he still has the backfield to himself for another couple of weeks. Those first 3 running backs. Not Charbonnet, not Christian Watson. Christian Watson is an not extreme, but he's high risk, high reward, and I would not rank him ahead of these other 3 runners. No, I would play those first 3 running backs, Henderson, Harvey, Vidal. What's going on, Rojo? Good to see you. Fields or Bryce Young? Oh boy, that's a tough spot to be in. I don't trust Fields at all tonight. I don't trust Bryce Young on the road ever. Oh man. I mean, there's no Garrett Wilson for Fields. I guess at least Bryce Young has Tet McMillan and whoever even else. He could throw it to Rico, I guess, a little bit. Man, I don't really want to play either one. Fields could get benched. I guess I would say Fields' chances of getting benched are greater than Bryce Young's. So I'll tell you Bryce Young, but I have no confidence in either one. I'm sorry that's your choice, Rojo. I guess I would say Bryce Young. Because we've seen Fields get benched this year. It could happen again. Honestly, if you play Gadsden, I can't advocate for Gadsden over a quarterback, even though it's a bad quarterback situation. I'll say Bryce Young. I hate it, to be completely honest. But if it's a rebuild, then maybe you're not worried about wins anyway right now. So I'll say Bryce Young. Honestly, to that point, maybe even just play Gadsden if you don't care about winning and play the intriguing, exciting tight end with upside over the bland, boring quarterbacks. Not that I'm expecting him to do better than either one, but if you're in a rebuild, then screw it, right? Okay, where am I at? And I agree. Jordan Love in one quarterback leagues is a drop. Need one flex between Addison, Parker, Washington, Shaheed, Vidal, and Sean Tucker. Vidal. I mean, he's going to get bell cow opportunities for another couple of weeks with no, Amarian Hampton's not back yet. They're down to Jarrett Patterson and Nyheim Hines as the backups. I mean, Vidal's going to get all the work that he can handle for another week against Jacksonville. I would play Vidal here. I would play Vidal. He's in a good offense. He's attached to a good quarterback. He's been up and down in this role, but he is going to be a bell cow for Week 11, so I'll take Vidal over these other wide receivers. I like Addison, but not more than the volume that Vidal is about to get. Yeah, we do the same thing in Dynasty, Rojo, like max points forced, as opposed to just straight up like your straight up record. Yeah, I mean, screw it. Play Gadsden if you want. Play the intriguing young rookie with upside over the boring quarterbacks. If you're feeling like you truly don't care, you know what I'm saying? Like, but if you do want to play a quarterback, then I guess I would play Bryce. I got the other member questions. Tez, Brees Hall, Judy, Jennings, Pearsall. You need 2. I would play Brees Hall. And I might play Tez Johnson over somebody like Pearsall in his first game back after missing like a couple of months. Tet would be a floor play. It's not his fault. The offense stinks. Tez at least catches the ball from a good quarterback in Baker Mayfield, and it could be a shootout in Buffalo between the Bills and the Bucks. I like Tet long term. He's tough to trust this year. Panthers still don't have a very good offense. I will say Hall and Tez. Tez, I think, has a little bit more upside. Better offense, better quarterback. Better potential of a shootout than the game Ted is in. And then drop Mooney for A.D. Mitchell. I mean, sure, if you want to take a chance. Mooney is a little bit more involved. The Falcons aren't exactly world beaters on offense, and Mooney is the fourth option at best most weeks. Mitchell at least could be the wide receiver 1 for the next couple of weeks for the Jets. I don't know how much that means with Justin Fields throwing the football. But I guess you could take a swing. You could take a shot on Mitchell if you want. I'm not expecting much, mostly because of the ineptitude of the Jets' passing offense. But sure, you can drop Mooney for A.D. Mitchell. Full PPR, A.J. Brown or Parker Washington. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. I mean, I can't I can't sit A.J. Brown for Parker Washington. I can't do it. I know A.J. Brown has been the bane of many people's existences this year. he has completely fallen short of anything as far as reasonable expectations. There are a lot of players that I would play ahead of A.J. Brown this weekend. I do not think Parker Washington is one of them. And I know Parker Washington has actually been pretty decent over the past couple of weeks. But at home, prime time against another big-time opponent in the Detroit Lions. These are two of the heavyweights in the NFC. I'll take A.J. Brown. I have very little confidence in it, but I'll take A.J. Brown. And would I drop Isaiah Davis for the Broncos? No. No, I don't. I mean, I guess, well, actually, if Dobbins goes on injured reserve, then one of them might be somewhat relevant. I guess you could grab Bidet for Isaiah Davis. That's fine. If you want to grab Tyler Bidet for Isaiah Davis, that's fine. I'm okay with that. At least until Dobbins, if he's definitively on injured reserve, then great, you're ahead of the game. If he dodges injured reserve, then you can just drop Bidet later for another player. Maybe get Isaiah Davis back. Yeah, that's fine. I'm fine with that. You missed my response to the Pickens. No, I didn't. Sorry. My response is I need more details. My answer is I need more details. Who are you trading? Who are you giving away? Are you trading from a position of strength to address a position of weakness? Like, give me more context. Give me more context, and I can follow up. Another Twitch question. I'm getting a few followers in here from Twitch, which is great. Appreciate the new audience. Do you trade? This is a big trade. Saquon, Waddle, and Brashad Smith for Chase Brown, Ladd McConkey, and R.J. Harvey. Sure. I mean, I don't love. Well. Do I want McConkey more than I want Waddle? That's the big question. Like, I saw Brashard Smith for R.J. Harvey, and I thought to myself, yes, like, I want to do that deal. Waddle has been awesome. So has McConkey, honestly. He's been much better recently, and I guess he's got the much better quarterback in Herbert compared to Tua. Saquon's an RB1. Chase Brown's a little bit more of like an RB2, but he is getting Joe Burrow back. You would be upgrading at running back in the sense that you would acquire Chase Brown for Saquon and go from Brashad Smith to R.J. Harvey. That's a big upgrade. And then going from Waddle to Ladd McConkey, I think that's fine. I think I'm okay with this. It's tough to get rid of Saquon and Waddle, but to offset them with Chase Brown, Ladd McConkey, and R.J. Harvey and kind of unload Brashad Smith, who's kind of a throwaway in this trade, for you to be getting the three good pieces for two good pieces, I think I'm okay with that deal. What's up, Crumply Heads? Good to see you. Which tumultuous injury-struck wide receiver group do I want a piece of? Palmer or Wicks? Palmer. Better quarterback in Josh Allen. Greater opportunity. You know, the Bills have holes all up and down their wide receiver core. You know, Khalil Shakir is solid, but he's not an alpha. Keon Coleman has been disappointing. Elijah Moore is a journeyman at this point of his career. And then for added measure, Dalton Kincaid is banged up right now. I know for Wicks, Tucker Kraft is out for the year, but Wicks can't catch the football. At least we could maybe see if Palmer can contribute. He's been hurt recently, so he hasn't really been involved. He hasn't really been a factor. But, like, Wicks is what he is at this point. He can't catch the football. He's behind Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs. Jaden Reed is supposed to come back in a couple of weeks. So even with the loss of Tucker Kraft, Reed will push Wicks further down the depth chart. Palmer has a chance to be a little bit more of a consistent in the Bills' offense because of how many question marks and poor performances they've had at wide receivers so far. So I think my answer is Palmer. But to your point, it's tumultuous and it's injury struck. So there's only so much potential upside here. But I'll say Palmer. And I'm going to try to move through these questions a little bit faster. I know I take some time answering questions. I appreciate everybody's patience, but we got about 25 minutes or so until kickoff, so I want to make sure I get to everybody. Trey Tucker, Wandale, Dobbs, Debo, Tet, pick 2 in half PPR. Wandale, no Darius Slayton. Jameis Winston's going to air it out. Dobbs is banged up. I don't know how banged up he is, but he is banged up. Trey Tucker is interesting in a very good matchup against the Dallas Cowboys. I might go Tucker over Dobbs. I'm going Wandale for sure. Debo is in a great matchup against Miami, but I do not trust him. He has lost a step, and I don't like picking players in international games that aren't slam dunk studs. So I'm not loving that. And then Tet, good player in a bad situation, so I have a hard time trusting him as well. I will say Wandale for sure. I will say Tet is a something of a floor play, but he doesn't have much of a ceiling. Trey Tucker is your aggressive play if you think you need to be aggressive. If you feel like you're an underdog, if you need to take a swing for the fences, that's Trey Tucker. Low floor, high ceiling. So Wandale for sure. Tet is a floor play. Trey Tucker is your boom bust play. It depends on what you need or think you need. And you're considering Demario Douglas as well in addition to Palmer. And Wicks. I mean, I guess he could be a little bit more viable tonight without Kayshon Boutte, but, Mac Hollins has been involved. Kyle Williams could be emerging. He had a nice week last week. And obviously Diggs is still the wide receiver 1 for at least this year. I'll say Palmer. I'll still say Palmer. I think that's more wide. The wide receiver room that he is in is more wide open. It's more wide open. And then Trey Tucker or Keenan. Again, I'm going Trey Tucker here. Keenan has fallen off a cliff. He has done nothing for like 5 weeks straight. Tucker at least has a shot to make a play in a good matchup against the Cowboys. Tucker. I'll say Tucker. And then Tez Johnson or Troy Franklin. Probably Franklin. Bo Nix is not playing well right now, but Franklin has flashed. He looks good. He's almost been operating as the team's wide receiver 1 over the past few weeks over Cortland Sutton. Whereas I like Tez Johnson. I do. And he's in a good matchup. Well, he's in a matchup where I think it's got shootout potential, and he's catching the ball from a good quarterback. But Chris Godwin has returned to practice. So if Godwin is back, that could hurt Tez Johnson. Franklin is a mainstay for the Broncos offense no matter what. I'll say Franklin. I'll say Franklin over Tez. Big trade. Jefferson, Hall, and Franklin for Waddle, Pickens, and Jalen Warren? Yeah, I would do that deal. If you're acquiring the Waddle, Pickens, Warren side. Yeah, I would do that trade. I know it hurts to move off of Justin Jefferson, but his ceiling is not as high this year as J.J. McCarthy takes his lumps. Breece Hall is a good football player, but you'd still be getting another running back in Jalen Warren, who I feel much better about. The Steelers' offense isn't great, but it's better than the Jets. And And then Franklin's a nice player, but Waddle and Pickens are huge upgrades over him. Yeah, I think I would do this trade. I think it's more balanced on the Waddle, Pickens, Warren side. Yeah, I would do that deal. I would do that deal. Start 1, Flacco, Jacoby Brissett, Tua, Purdy, Mariota. Not those last 3. Purdy, first game back, don't trust. Mariota, I don't care if he's playing in the U.S. or in Spain or the moon. I don't care. I don't trust Mariota, even though it's a good matchup. I don't trust Tua really either. I think it comes down to Flacco versus Jacoby Brissett for me. Might take a shot on Jacoby. He lost Marvin Harrison, so that's actually not great. Actually, I'll flip-flop. Since he lost Marvin Harrison, I'll say Flacco. Flacco has Yes, Jacoby has Trey McBride and a pretty good matchup against San Francisco, but Flacco still has Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And I'll say that combined is a little stronger than Trey McBride. And the Steelers' pass defense isn't great. I'll say Flacco. I almost said Brissett, but without Marvin Harrison, doesn't feel as strong of a stream play. I'll say Flacco. Packers or Cowboys? I'll go Packers. I actually like the Cowboys defense as a stream this week against the Raiders. The Raiders offense is brutal. But the Packers are a better defense, and they're getting a great matchup against Jameis Winston, who may score 20 points on the Packers, but again, if there's any defense I would put money on to make a massive play like a pick six, it would be Green Bay playing Jameis Winston. And they're just a good defense in general. They're a better top to bottom unit than the Cowboys. It's a good enough matchup. I'll take the Packers. Aaron Jones or Chase Brown? It's a good matchup for Aaron Jones, but I'll take Chase Brown. Jordan Mason has been kind of meh, but he still is there to potentially siphon opportunities. Whereas for Chase Brown, Samaje Perine, I think, is not playing this week. He picked up the ankle injury, and therefore, and Perine has been having a role. I'm bringing it up because it is significant. Perine has been a factor, but if he's not playing, then Chase Brown should get a bell cow role in a good matchup against Pittsburgh. I'm double-checking Perine right now. Not practicing. He's not going to play this week. Chase Brown. Chase Brown over Aaron Jones. Yeah. Appreciate everybody's patience as I work through these questions. I will get to everybody. And special shout out to my new to those who are watching on Twitch. I'm streaming on Twitch for the second time this week, first time in a while though. So appreciate everybody's patience as I work through this. Do you start Henderson tonight? Jacobs, Genty, Judkins, Vidal. Yeah, I would play him over Vidal. I would probably play him over. I would play him over Vidal if you can. If the names that you listed are your starters and you're wondering should you get Henderson into your lineup, my answer is yes. I think I would play Henderson over maybe all of these guys other than maybe Josh Jacobs. I would play Josh Jacobs over all these guys, but I might play Henderson over everybody else not named Josh Jacobs. I would play Henderson over Vidal. I would play him over Judkins. I might play him over Genty. Genty should be fine against the Cowboys, but they did upgrade their front seven with the trade of Quinnen Williams and the return of Overshown. Yes, I would play Henderson tonight. I would find a way to get him into your lineup. It's a beautiful matchup against the Jets. Beautiful matchup. Would I trade Pittman, Adunze, Monangai, and Swift for Josh Jacobs? all four of those guys, that's a lot to give up. You'd be getting the best player, but you would be gutting your depth. I'd be curious to know what the rest of your lineup looks like. What the rest of your roster looks like. A 4-for-1 trade is steep. It's a steep price to pay. You would be getting, again, the best player in the trade, but it would come at the expense of a lot of depth. So that's the only thing. Oh, hang on. Josh Jacobs and T. Higgins for Adunze, Pittman, Swift, and Monangai. So you'd be getting Jacobs and Higgins for Adunze, Pittman, Swift, and Monangai? I mean, again, if you're acquiring Higgins, that makes it better. That makes it more palatable. If you feel like your depth is strong, if you like the rest of your team without those four players, you'd be getting the best player in the deal in Jacobs. You'd be getting a high performer wide receiver in Higgins. If you like your depth, if you feel strongly about the rest of your team, then the fact that you're making it a 4-for-2 makes it a little bit more palatable, and therefore I would feel better about it. But it is still a lot to give up. It is still a lot to give up. Yeah, if you can get an extra piece, I would be a little bit more interested in that. A 4-for-2 is an awful lot to give up. If you can make that a 4-for-3, just get a throw in, then I'm a little bit more interested because you would be getting the best player. So I don't want to say no to that. Getting another member question in, just making sure I get the members taken care of. How many draft picks to get Christian McCaffrey? A first-round pick, a couple of second-round picks, an intriguing good young player. If I'm selling McCaffrey in Dynasty, I'm asking for a lot because he's going to be an RB1 for the rest of the season. If you trade him to a contender who is or if you are a contender trying to put your team over the top, I would imagine you're going to have to pay top dollar. Maybe don't trade 2 first-round picks because he's older, but it's going to take a first, it's going to take multiple seconds, and it's going to probably take an intriguing young player. And then again, of course, I don't know who you're trading with. I don't know who you're doing business with. They may ask for even more than that. And it may be justified with how big of an impact McCaffrey is going to make if he gets sold in Dynasty to a contending team. It's a lot. It's going to cost a lot. 3 draft picks, 1 being a first, a couple of high seconds, maybe 2 first-round picks for McCaffrey and a third, something like that. You're going to have to pay top dollar, I would think anyway. You're going to have to pay top dollar. It's an RB1 to put your team over the top. At least 1 first-round pick. Honestly, maybe 2. Maybe 2. Gonna have to pay top dollar. Yeah, I did get this question. Hopefully you catch it this time. I want to play both, but I would play Henderson tonight. The Patriots offense is better than the Steelers, and that's all I can go off of. They have the better offense than the Steelers. So I'll take Henderson. Start 1 in the flex. Worthy, Washington, Franklin. Franklin. I don't trust Worthy. He's not really done a whole heck of a lot since Rashee Rice returned to the lineup. Washington's been solid. But I guess I trust Bo Nix more than Trevor Lawrence, even though Bo Nix hasn't been playing well. And Franklin has operated as the Broncos' wide receiver 1 in recent weeks. I'll say Franklin. And Washington was on the injury report earlier this week as well, for whatever that's worth. I'll say Franklin, but it's close over Washington. You have Judkins E111. No, I wouldn't trade him. So you're gonna have to probably pony up more draft capital. I would say give me a first-round pick and 3 second-round picks. I would be aggressive if I was selling McCaffrey to a contender. I would be asking for a lot. I'd be asking for premium draft capital. At least 1 first-round pick, maybe 2. If I ask for 2, maybe I'm willing to give you something in exchange, like a third-round pick, just to kind of offset it a little bit. But you're a contender asking for an RB1. Be prepared to pony up. But don't shy away from making big trades. If you feel like you're a contender in Dynasty and an RB1 will put you over the top, do it. Do it. Draft capital is fun. Championships are better. What's going on, Greg? Good to see you. Yeah, I would play the Patriots tonight against the Jets over the Chargers and Falcons. I just, I can't. You're only running back as Judkins. Well, yeah, so definitely don't trade him. Definitely don't let him be the young piece that you give up. Let's see. Yeah, play the Patriots over the Chargers. And then you have Parker. I mean, if you put a lot of fab into Parker Washington and you don't want to drop him, that's fine. But I think I'd rather have Franklin than Washington. It's not by a significant amount. Parker Washington has been pretty solid. But it's been Franklin, not Courtland Sutton, who has operated as the Broncos wide receiver 1 the past couple of weeks. So, it depends on, do you expect that trend to continue? I would probably drop Parker for Franklin, but, it's not a significant enough difference where if you want to hang on to the guy that you spent some fab for, then I guess you can stay put, sit tight. But I think I would slightly rather have Franklin. Okay, I got this question. Like I said, I would slightly play Franklin over Parker Washington this week. I don't trust Worthy hasn't been great since Rice returned to the lineup, and now he's on the injury report. I don't know that it's serious, but the fact that he was added to the injury report today, I think he was limited. Still, don't love that. I'll say Franklin. Oh yeah, no, I mean, I wouldn't drop Keenan Allen just yet, Greg, but obviously he's fallen off a cliff over the past month plus. Trade Kyren for Rice. Yes, trade. You can turn Kyren Williams into Rashee Rice. Smash accept. Absolutely. You have Cook, you have Javonte, you have Saquon. You can add Rice to. Yes. Yes, I can't say yes to that trade fast enough. You can send Kyren for Rashee Rice, who is a top 5 receiver rest of the way. Kyron's solid. Rice is better. Absolutely, I would do that deal. And you've got the strength at running back to offset the loss of Kyren with Saquon, James Cook, and Javonte. 100% I'm doing this trade. 100%. If I had Kyren Williams and someone sent me a trade to give me Rashee Rice for Kyren, I am running, not walking, to smash accept to that offer. Absolutely. Absolutely. You do that deal. 100%. Breece Hall tonight or Judkins on Sunday against Baltimore. Judkins. The Ravens defense has been more gettable this year on the ground than the Patriots have. Patriots have a pretty good defense. Breece will be the entire offense tonight for the Jets. There is that. He should catch the ball a decent number of times. No Garrett Wilson. That's, of course, if Justin Fields can get him the ball. No small feat for Justin Fields. Judkins, at least, is at home. Slightly more favorable matchup for him. It's close, but I'll say Judkins. It's close, but I'll say Judkins. I got Rojo's questions. Would I bench Henry for Swift? No. I know Henry's on the road against Cleveland, and that's not great on paper, but it's Derrick Henry. It's Derrick Henry. You play Derrick Henry. With a healthy Lamar Jackson, you play Derrick Henry. And yeah, if you can make that happen, you may need another running back just to give yourself some depth. But that's a contender to me. That's got to be a team that competes for the championship if you can make it happen. So maybe try to get another running back just to fill out your depth a little bit more. But hey, go push your chips in for a championship if you feel like. If you feel like that'll make you the best team or the top 2 team in the league, I say go for it. Darnold or Flacco this week? Flacco. He gets a good matchup against the Steelers. He gets to throw the ball to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Darnold has been great and gets to throw the ball to JSN, but this is a tougher matchup on the road against LA. I'll take Flacco. Better matchup. If Burrow gets healthy, I mean, sure, we're 3 weeks away from having to make that decision. And I don't know, Greg, who you would drop to add Burrow if you can't just put him in an IR spot outright. That being said, Burrow's worth a pickup, not Purdy. If you have Stafford, then leave Purdy on waivers. But Burrow's worth a pickup. And then we can make that call when we have to. If Stafford keeps balling out, then you keep rocking with Stafford. If Stafford starts to falter a little bit, then, if you add Burrow, then all of a sudden you have Joe freaking Burrow for the fantasy playoffs if you feel like you need him. He's worth a pickup if you can find the room. You have McBride and Cade Otton. Can you trade McBride for a top 10 running back? Sure. You may have a bit of a black hole at tight end, though, if you do that deal. I mean, if you trade Trey McBride, yeah, I mean, I want Josh Jacobs, Saquon, Javonte Williams, Derrick Henry. Like, I want a really good piece. I want a really, really good option. You're not going to get Taylor or McCaffrey or Bijan or Gibbs or Achane. You're probably not going to get James Cook either. But, I want Javonte Williams. I want Bucky Irving if he's coming back soon. Maybe you get Bucky plus for him while he's still hurt. or while he's still out of the lineup. I want Derrick Henry. Hell, I might ask for Josh Jacobs. I don't know if you're going to get that. You can try. I don't love selling McBride, but if you can get a clear-cut RB1, then sure, fine. Okay, we are coming up on kickoff, so let me quickly run through some of these. And yes, there are 2 chats, or there may be a couple of avenues that questions are coming in. I apologize if there's any confusion. I am streaming on Twitch tonight. I am highlighting each question. Apologies if it's one that you do not see. I'm simul-streaming a little bit. I finished my thought on this one. If we can add that third piece, I'm a little bit more interested. You think Fields... Hey, call your shot. Call your shot, but I can't see a huge game. But also, it's the NFL. You never know. Actually, I think I do have all of the questions answered. You have Bucky, or I don't see what the initial comment or response was to this. Oh, you have sorry, Bucky. No, play Derrick Henry. Play. That's right. That was the Henry question. Play Derrick Henry. I know it's not a great matchup against Cleveland, but it's Derrick freaking Henry. And I don't trust DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift is not he's a talent level tier break, multiple tier breaks below Derrick Henry. We gotta play Henry. And I like that. Honestly, Greg, I might drop Garrett Wilson now. If you can replace him in the IR spot for Burrow. And I know that's volatile. I know that's dicey. I know that puts you at risk. But he could get shut down. If the Jets go 1-3 or worse over the next 4 games, they already gutted their defense. If they lose 3 more out of their next 4 and they're 3-11, why would they bring Garrett Wilson back this year? They already don't throw the ball with very much success. Why would they bring Wilson back? And I'm not saying that they will shut him down, but he certainly is a candidate for it. Burrow's arrow is trending up. Wilson's arrow is down. He's out until at least he's got to miss weeks 11, 12, 13, and 14. He's maybe back the fantasy playoffs, and that's a maybe. I would maybe just drop Wilson for Burrow outright now. Maybe just do it now, because the sooner we get to the Burrow return, the faster somebody else is going to scoop him up if they didn't already. I don't think there's going to be a mad dash, a mad scramble to pick up Garrett Wilson off of waivers. I really don't. If I saw Garrett Wilson get dropped today, right now, I'm not chomping at the bit, rushing to grab him. He's going to miss the next 4 weeks. This is a critical stretch to make the playoffs. Garrett Wilson is guaranteed to not help you get there. I might just pick up Burrow now for Garrett Wilson. I appreciate it, Rojo. I appreciate the kind words. I think I definitely frustrate some people because I take a while to answer questions, and my method is a little confusing. I may have to adjust my formats and adjust how I operate my streams moving forward. I know it can be kind of clunky and kind of confusing, but I appreciate the kind words. I do try to offer as the best advice that I possibly can. It's not always going to be accurate. It's not always going to work, but I will give you, I think it's fair to say, a pretty thought-out response, generally speaking. But I know that I'm not for everybody, and I know that I can. It's clunky. It can be a lengthy wait time for your question to get answered. That's what frustrates people, I think. So maybe it's my system, but I appreciate it. Those who do come in and hang out, appreciate y'all coming in and spending the time. Hopefully it's beneficial in one way or another. And who knows, maybe I'm talking about something that you didn't ask about, but maybe it gets the wheels turning on something else that you weren't initially thinking about. So, Who knows? All right. This game is about to kick off, and we have reached the end of the chat. So I think I'll shut it down here or shortly. I'll keep it open for another couple minutes in case there are any other questions. But again, I appreciate everybody coming in and hanging out tonight. Thanks enough for thinking enough of the stream to spend some time. Special shout out to all of my members: Bobby, Sport Dog, Batty. I saw Kevin. I saw E111. I saw Rojo. I saw Crumply Heads. I saw Jay. I saw Greg. I think those were all of the members that I saw tonight. Appreciate everybody for your continued support, coming in and hanging out, and everybody for coming in and hanging out. Special shout out to those who join me on Twitch. Again, I am regularly, consistently streaming on Twitch now, so you can catch me there, or you can catch this stream there. I will be back on Saturday, 5 p.m. Eastern for Start Sit Help. I will go, for as long as it takes to help sort out questions. There probably will not be a Sunday morning stream, as we are going to have the final Europe game of the season, Dolphins Commanders in Madrid. So I'll leave that spot open to watch the game, but I can be available in Discord at that time on Sunday morning if you need any last-minute thoughts. Discord invite is evergreen and free to anybody who wants to join. Second link in the description of this live stream and all videos and streams on the channel. Free to join to ask questions over there. Need a reason to watch this garbage game, Rojo. Don't chase production in what you think is going to be a trash game just for the sake of watching it, especially when you're out of the playoffs. But do what at the end of the day, do what makes your heart the happiest. Especially if you're out of the playoff race in a dynasty rebuild, 3 sheets to the wind, man. Like, do what you please. I would probably play Gadsden to just say screw it. At least I have exciting upside with this guy. But do what you feel the need to do. What's going on, Fortune? Good to see you. I think it was a good stream. Streaming on Twitch now. I know that's a little confusing for folks. You may see some questions popping in that you can't see from the platform that you are watching on, but I do appreciate everybody's patience as I navigate this. Egbuka, Nico, Rice, Judkins, Henderson, 2 wide receivers, 1 flex. Get Henderson in your lineup. Travion Henderson needs to be in every lineup, and I would put him in a running back spot. Do not put him in a flex spot. Save your flex for the weekend. Save it for Sunday and or Monday. Maximize the flexibility, pun intended, of your lineup. Whoever's in your running back spots now, if they play on Sunday, put one of them in the flex spot and put Henderson in the running back spot. Get Henderson in your lineup. Your other wide receiver for me, I wish you could play. Oh, you could play 2 wide receivers. Rashee Rice and Egbuka probably. Because Egbuka's been incredible. Nico is awesome too, but I'll take Baker Mayfield over Davis Mills. You have Rico and Christian McCaffrey. Put McCaffrey in your flex. He doesn't play until the Sunday afternoon games. He's going to be in your lineup anyway. Put Henderson in your running back spot, in one of those running back spots. Always, 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 this is for everybody, put your Thursday night players in a position spot to maintain and maximize the flexibility just in case you need it. You never know what random injury pops up between now and Sunday. Knock on wood, we hope it never happens, but put your Thursday night players in their position spots. Maximize your flex for the weekend. I would put McCaffrey or Rico, it doesn't matter, in your flex spot. Henderson in a running back spot. Rice and Egbuka in your wide receiver spots. And then let me get this trade, and then I will probably shut it down so that we can watch this barn burner of a game between the Patriots and the Jets. Watch Travion Henderson go nuts tonight. You have Nico, you have Pickens, you have Tet, you have Johnston, you have Javonte, Chase Brown, Harvey, Benson. I like Jaylen Warren quite a bit. Now that I have the full context of this, I would not make this trade. You also have Dak, so you have the Dak Pickens stack. Your running backs are solid. Javonte has been an RB1. Chase Brown is an RB2. RJ Harvey is ascending into a greater role because J.K. Dobbins is hurt, and Trey Benson is probably going to be back in the next couple of weeks. Meanwhile, if you trade Pickens, you're going to be down to Nico, Tet, and Quentin Johnston. That's not a trio of wide receivers I want to rock with week over week. I would much rather have Pickens. I think I would stay put, especially because you have the stack with Dak to Pickens. I would stay put. I like Jaylen Warren. Pickens isn't the guy I want to give up to get him, given the construct of your team. I would rather sell somebody like Tet for... You're not going to get Jaylen Warren for Tet, but I would rather sell Tet for another running back. Trying to think who that would be. You know, like a... Hell, here's what you could try. Could you offer Tet for somebody like Amari and Hampton? Because Tet's been kind of, he's a wide receiver 2. If you get... No, Garrett Wilson doesn't move the needle for me. He's going to miss 4 games. And he may be shut down for the season. I would ask, could you offer like Tet... Keep Nico, keep Pickens. Could you offer Tet for like an Amari and Hampton? And then you just wait for another couple of weeks until Hampton gets right and gets healthy, and then that way you have another running back for your playoff run. It would hurt your right now projections because Hampton's not going to play for a couple of weeks. But if you do feel like you need a running back, I guess you could try that. If you're barely scraping by, maybe you wait another week and plan to rock with the healthy guys that you have available to you now. But maybe in a week or two, that might be something that I look into, like Tet for Hampton. Something like that would be a little bit more palatable than Pickens for Warren. You have needs at wide receiver more than you have needs at running back. That being said, I wouldn't trade any one of those running backs. You should rock with those running backs, Javonte, Chase Brown, and Harvey. And then Nico and Pickens and Ted at wide receiver. Or if you just start 2 receivers, Nico and Pickens. I would rather keep Pickens, especially since you have the Dak stack. And I don't want Garrett Wilson. I am not trading for Garrett Wilson. He's on injured reserve. He's going to miss at least 4 games. It's possible he gets shut down if the Jets are like 3-11 by the time he comes back. Or 3-10. They may not even bring him back the rest of the way. I would not trade for Garrett Wilson. I would not. Okay. We are at the end of the chat. That'll do it for me. This game is starting. So let's go watch some football. What do you say? Again, one more time, appreciate everybody coming in and hanging out tonight. I will be live again on Saturday, 5 p.m. Eastern for Start Sit Help for Week 11. I will see you guys then. Thanks, everybody, for the time. Appreciate it. Have a good evening. I will see you this weekend.